All right, now we're going to start learning how to make roux. Okay, roux is a very important part of making sauces and making soups. It's basically a thickener, and it consists of only two parts. It consists of butter, and then it consists of flour. And in order for us to determine the strength of the roux or the color of the roux, then it determines how long we cook the butter and the flour over heat. So you have a blonde roux, which is typically made for like cream-based soups, basically for that, or cream-based sauces. Then you have more of a brown roux, which is more like for velouté-type gravies, velouté-type soups. And then you have what we call dark roux. And dark roux are much more, the flour's cooked and the butter's cooked longer. Now, naturally, we all know when you cook butter a little bit more lengthy, it starts to get a butter or a nutty flavor. And that adds like the flavor profile to whatever you're making. It's a nice uplift of flavor that you're incorporating into that dish that you're using the darker butter. But for the roux, it also adds a little bit more of a nuttier flavor to the roux, because also the flour begins to brown and it continues to carry on this smoky, nutty flavor that's going to be added to whatever sauce or whatever soup that we're going to be making with the roux. So right now we're going to make three of the roux. We're going to make a blonde roux real quick, then we're going to make a brown roux, and then we're going to make a dark roux. Dark roux are used a lot in Creole cooking, Cajun cooking, specifically the gumbo that people enjoy. That's made with a dark roux, very dark, darker than what I would do today. But dark roux are heavy with that kind of cuisine. So let's look at the butter here. Butter, again, is what we use. So this is a 4-ounce stick of butter. Oh, another point is the ratio to making a roux is 1 part to 1 part. That means if I'm using 2 ounces of butter, I only want 2 ounces of flour. If I'm using 4 ounces of butter, I only want 4 ounces of flour. So that's the ratio of 1 to 1. So that's what we mean by that. So if somebody were to say to you, it's a 1 to 1 ratio, that means if I only have 2 ingredients that's going into the item I'm making, so it's going to be 1 part and 1 part. That's 4 ounces of flour, 4 ounces of butter, or 5 ounces of butter, 5 ounces of flour. That's a 1 to 1 ratio. So here I have a 4-ounce stick of butter. I'm going to cut it completely in half because I'm only going to make 2 ounces, or actually 4 ounces of roux, of a blonde roux. So over here at my stove, I'm going to melt my butter. So I have a Teflon saute pan and I have a rubber coated whisk so it doesn't damage it. So I'm just going to let that slowly melt. Now with blonde roux, again, I'm just going to let the butter melt. Then I'm going to add the flour. We're going to let it cook. It's important that the flour cooks out in the butter so it releases the glutinous power that it's going to use when we thicken up whatever we're going to thicken. If it's going to be, again, a soup, or if it's going to be a gravy or a sauce, whatever it may be. So as you see the butter melting, if you want to increase the speed of this butter melt, I could have cut it into 3 different pieces of the butter there, and it all would have separated and melted easier and faster, but you get the picture. So here we go. We got it on medium heat, but I just turned it up a little bit just to get it melting. So as you see, it's melting down. It's starting to get hot. We don't want it to brown. That's the one thing we don't want it to do, is we don't want it to brown. We want to make sure that all it does is melt, because it's a blonde roux. If our butter or our flour turns brownish, then if I go and add it to a cream sauce, it's going to make the cream look brownish, which we don't want. So here we are. We're just about melted. Now I'm going to take a measuring cup, 2-ounce measuring cup. I'm going to measure my flour, 2 ounces. I'm going to pour it right in there, and here I am now. I take it off the heat, let it mix, because remember, I don't want it to cook too much. I do need it to cook, but I'm going to turn it on low. We're just going to let that cook there, right? So that's a blonde roux. That's what it basically looks like. See that? Now if I were to, I'm going to take it off the stove now. If I was going to use it, now I could add my cream to that and cook it and tighten it up. Or I could start making my soup that I'm going to make. Whatever it may be, this is ready now as a blonde roux. So this is how far you want it to go. You don't want it to brown, you just want it to be blonde. You want it to be light. So that way it just maintains, the cream maintains its cream consistent color when we're making our sauce or our soup. The next one we're going to make is the brown roux. Again, I'm going to take my butter. Actually, I'm going to cut it up a little bit. I'm going to let that melt. So here, we do want it to get a little brown. We are going to let it get a little brown. So we're just letting that butter now melt. We got it on high heat. Again, that's 2 ounces. That's 2 ounces. And we're going to add 2 ounces of flour in a minute to this. As you see it melting, I have my whisk. I have a steel whisk now because this is not a Teflon coated saute pan. It's a stainless steel coated saute pan. Now we're going to come over here, get my 2 ounces of flour. We're going to add that. We're going to stir it up. Now you can see the butter browning a little bit on the edges. That's what we want. We want it to brown. Oh yeah, you can already, I can smell the nutty flavor from the butter. Cameraman, can't you smell the nutty butter?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's my son. So this is what we're letting it cook a little bit now because we want it to get a little bit golden. And you can definitely smell the nuttiness coming from the butter and the flour. You can definitely smell that. And you can see the colored edge. You see how it's getting brown? That's okay because that's what you want. Oh yeah, that's looking good. So this is ready to go as well. So we're going to take it off. We're going to stir it up a little bit. Now this is ready to go for our brown sauces, brown soup based type product that we're going to make, the dishes that we're going to make. This would be ready for a velouté, a brown velouté. It would be ready to make a chicken gravy. It would be ready to make any kind of darkened sauce that we're going to make for a dish. So this is our brown roux. That's what we're going to use. That's what we just made. We made a blonde. We made a brown roux. Now the next one we want to make is a dark roux. So look at that. Look at that brownness. Oh yeah. So that's going to be absolutely phenomenal. The next one is going to be dark roux. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at this. What I did was I cooked the flour in the oven for close to 30 minutes to get it brown. Now I'm going to make 4 ounces and 4 ounces. So remember, 1 part to 1 part. That's 4 ounces of flour. This is 4 ounces of butter. Now let me cut it. So we take our butter. We're going to let it brown. Right? It's up on high. Now as it melts, it's going to get a little dark. I'm going to let it get dark. I don't want it to burn, but I'm going to let it get dark. But because I cooked the flour, it's going to make this brown instantly the moment I add the flour to it. Because I've already darkened the flour in the oven. I've already cooked it. And then when I get the butter brown, I'm going to add my flour to this and it'll be a nice dark roux. Look at the brown roux. Look at that. Look at it in comparison to the blonde roux. That's awesome. All right, so the flour, we're ready to add the flour in a minute, but we want that butter to brown. And again, the more brown, as it keeps cooking, as the butter keeps cooking, it's going to get more nuttier. It's going to continue to create that nutty sensation and the smell of it. And it's going to be really, really rich and nice. So here I am, I'm about to add the brown flour. Look at how brown it already got. Look at how brown it got. Now this is considered a dark roux. And it has a much nuttier flavor. And because of the color composition of the roux, that color composition is going to transition over into whatever you're going to make. Like I said earlier, your gumbos are dark, right? So that dark roux, it helps with the color of the gumbo or any kind of Creole flavorings and dishes that you're going to make. It's because of that dark roux, the color profile transfers over onto the dish, and that's why we would make a dark roux. But look at that, that's absolutely amazing. That looks great. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put them next to each other. Take a look at the blonde, the brown, and the dark roux. And you can smell the rich, nutty flavor sensation that's coming off of the darker roux. But that's what you have right there. All right, so that's how you make dark roux, brown roux, blonde roux. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to real quickly, I'm going to take out a little bit of my brown roux. I'm going to pour it in this. I'm going to show you how I would add my liquid to this. So I took out about half. I'm going to put it back on the stove. Come on back over. Now I have some stock here. So this stock is warm. And so now that my roux is ready to go, see how the color just darkens up like that? Look at that. And you see how it thickens up? Look at the sauce. And I can continue to add, but then that would be your sauce right there. Now you continue to add your more liquid as the consistency that you're looking for. But that's now how you would add your broth, warm broth, or even if it was my blonde roux, having my warm cream added to the warm roux, mixing it, that's how it would thicken up. And it's just that simple. And you can do it in your own house. It's that easy. Remember, the roux consists of 1 part flour, 1 part butter, no matter how much you're doing. So if it's 3 ounces of one, it's 3 ounces of the other. All you do is you melt the butter, add the flour, and mix. If it's a blonde roux, you just cook it till the flour's incorporated in there, you take it off. If it's a brown roux, you let the butter brown a little bit more, then you add your flour, you let that cook so that gets that brown color. And if it's the dark roux, throw the flour in the oven for a half hour, melt your butter, let it get brown, throw the flour into the brown butter, whisk it, and then you have the color of a dark roux. So I'm Steve Foreman. I just wanted to share with you a little bit about how to make roux and how to thicken a broth with the roux. You have a great day. Thank you.